Everybody knows that James Bond is one of the greatest black franchise in history. How could he not be? Survived for decades and decades and decades. Well, he's actually a white guy. He's a white guy in the books. He's been a white guy consistently. However, there's been a conversation for the past decade about making James Bond black, because wouldn't that be cool? According to a recent report, it's exactly what Amazon wants to do. Aaron Pierre is being considered for the role of James Bond in the next 007 movie. Vera, you're a girl, so I assume you don't care about James Bond.
I like James Bond for sure.
You do? Okay,
Yeah,
that's good.
I do like James Bond. I don't know how to feel about this though. I feel like he's too much of a pretty boy. He doesn't have that like rogue, suave feeling. And I've never seen him in anything, right? We're gonna see him in the Lanterns show. It's a show now, right?
Yeah,
So we're gonna see him in that eventually, and maybe he'll wow me. I don't think that race swaps are as bad as gender swaps, because for race swaps, you can have a actor who can embody the character, who figures out all of their mannerisms and can play them really well, and they can have that on-screen presence. But with gender swaps, you have to change the essence of the character, like Liet Kynes in Dune. You have to change everything about that fucking character in order to gender swap. But that doesn't mean that race swaps are good. That still doesn't mean that I support every one of them. Again, if he's a great actor, maybe he can at least do a decent job and it will be watchable, but he definitely wouldn't be my first pick.
James Bond is one of the few franchises we have left that, despite the mistakes that they've made, the missteps in the past decade and the end of the Daniel Craig era, and it leaving kind of a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, despite all of that, it has still not been modern day Hollywoodized in terms of just turning it into this churn for fucking content.
Yeah.
Like this mill, this puppy mill of content, like we've seen them try to do with basically every other IP for streaming or whatever. James Bond, to me, should remain white. He's a white man.
Yeah.
That's who he is. And
that's how he was described.
It's how he's described in the book. There's nothing wrong with that. It's okay to be a white hero. And look, we saw the same people that are clapping about the possibility of this, the same people that have been pushing for James Bond to be black for forever. We just saw them have a little freak out meltdown over them having a white Black Panther.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's okay. It's okay to be upset if Marvel was about to make Black Panther white. If they actually went out and cast Ryan Gosling, memes aside, laughing at people aside,
that'd be fucking ridiculous.
It would be stupid.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And I think exactly the same thing about this. I think exactly the same thing about Aaron Pierre. You know what? I think he's going to be a great Jon Stewart. You know why? Because he looks like fucking Jon Stewart. And it feels like he could potentially embody that character. And I think that that's awesome.
I feel he's not masculine enough for James Bond. I mean, he's not a Dalton. He's not a Brosnan. He's not a Connery. Like, he doesn't, I don't know. Maybe he's a great actor and I'll absolutely love him in Lanterns and say, holy shit, get this guy in everything. He just doesn't strike me as James Bond in any way whatsoever.
Well, look, Amazon paid an extra $1 billion to make Barbara Broccoli and everybody else fuck off and have full control over this character.
Amazon's stupid. Amazon ruins everything they fucking touch, and I do not trust them. That's another major problem. They would turn James Bond gay in a flash. And, well, not trying to be mean to this actor, but Aaron kind of looks gay. So I will see. He kind of strikes me as a gay man. So if this casting is true, we are cooked.
Yeah. You know, if you want to do an awesome, secret agent show, like, go for it. Create your own thing, man. If you're like, we really need to see black representation in British secret agent shows,
make something else that's similar to James Bond.
Yeah.
It's like what Ana de Armas had said. Oh, we don't need James Bond to be gender swapped. We just need a character that is similar to James Bond that happens to be a female. That's perfectly fucking fine. There's absolutely no problem with creating new franchises or even spin-offs that are supposed to be similar. But the problem arises when you're replacing major characters like James Bond himself.
Yeah. And that's why they wouldn't do that, right? They want to be able to use the name of James Bond to get the attention. If
Yeah.
it's, I don't know, what is a black British person's name? I wouldn't even know. I know like Jamal Smith or something here in America. What is a black British person's name? Aaron Pierre, I guess.
I guess, yeah.
But yeah, if you want to make that show, it's not going to have eyes on it. So they don't want to waste their time with it.
Yeah, well, and another major issue is that we see James Bond getting modernized with the new game that's coming out. They have a 26-year-old James Bond. We have a race swapped Moneypenny. There's a bunch of characters that are race swapped and gender swapped. And they've said that they are recreating it for the modern audience, that they are modernizing it. So if we're already seeing James Bond being modernized in the games, why the fuck would we expect anything different from a show or a movie? That's clearly the direction that they've wanted to go in for years at this point, and that sucks, especially with this new game, because I can understand having a game where you have a younger James Bond if it's a trilogy and eventually he becomes the James Bond that we all know and that we've all loved. But it's a standalone. So it's only going to be this 26-year-old running around blowing shit up, maybe fucking women. That's it. That just doesn't strike me as James Bond. It looks like Uncharted.
It looks like Uncharted meets Hitman.
Yep.
The trailer doesn't, other than the 5 seconds of him getting a Q gadget and fucking with it and like something going wrong, that was the only thing that screamed Bond to me the entire thing.
100%.
I don't mind the way the guy looks, and I know there's a lot of like controversy about that. Fine, whatever. To me, it was the trailer itself didn't scream to me that this feels like James Bond at all.
No, and another problem is that this was from an interview yesterday or the day before. One of the writers had basically said they were trying to make him feel like Batman. But that's not James Bond. So it's like, are you like aware of what James Bond is at all whatsoever? So I'm not sure. They're trying to make it sound though like, oh my gosh, we're completely changing everything about this character, and if you like Batman, you're gonna like him. Like, okay.
I don't even know how to react to that.
Let me see if I can find the quote really quickly.
Yeah. God.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, here you go. I'll send it to you. This is so fucking stupid. This is so stupid. This is the first IP we're working on that's not our own. So I think for us, it needed to be with a nerve. We needed to not be doing Robin, but doing Batman. They're like trying to compare it to Batman. I don't know what they're thinking.
Pull this up from Roll.
But whether it's Bond or Batman, part of the origin story has to deal with learning the ropes, which is going to lead to missteps, especially in the harsh world of global espionage.
007 First Light ditches franchise lore for a whole new James Bond.
That's exactly what we want to hear. I love that.
And that's what I mean. It's when that is your fucking headline, I don't think most people view that as a good thing. I think most people want to get back to basics when it comes to James Bond in the video games and in the movies. I personally would not be opposed at all to turning James Bond into a period piece like franchise.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if it works as well. I don't know if the secret agent, super spies, I don't know if this stuff works as well in 2025 with technology the way it is with all this stuff as it does in the 60s, right?
Yeah.
In like the Cold War era, like type of feel where gadgets are hidden within normal things. And do you know what I mean? Because now anybody with a fucking cell phone can just like stick it on a wall and hack into some mainframe. Like everyone's got facial recognition cameras, so it doesn't really make like all of that stuff. I feel like really weakens what you can do with the character of Bond as opposed to a 60s period piece.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It just makes everything super easy, I think.
Yeah. Even like pretty much as soon as you have cell phones, I feel like you're going to start having problems with like the story being as effective as it can from like that type of old school spy movie.
Yeah, I think that if you set a James Bond film or game or whatever in the modern day, it loses so much of its style, which is such a big problem because that's, I don't want to say all James Bond is about, but a major point of James Bond and kind of the aesthetics is the cool guns in the cars and the suits. And it has a very different feeling. And unfortunately, I can't think of one modern franchise or product that is set in modern times that has that type of style.
Yeah.
Bad.
Not any franchises right now.
No.